Listen, I think it's fair to say that the internet is becoming more of a very weirder place, especially with clips like this on mainline platforms that promote it to everyone.
No, yes.
Yep, that somehow is innovative. Cultural, as now we have the Johnny Somali syndrome that a lot of people are using as a way to claim their fame, as we have now the creation of the nuance streamer that is becoming their own kind of category of annoying individuals, but also now a whole entire class of criminals, as a lot of these people are facing some very serious jail times, especially with what we just saw with not just Johnny Somali, but also, of course, Vitaly, someone who has been a major YouTuber that now is being literally charged and soon going to be in jail in the Philippines, a place that isn't the best of places to be in here. But in this particular video, I just wanted to talk about what's kind of happening online. It is kind of weird. It is kind of strange. And it is, I would say, a part of the human kind of psychology to always kind of want to watch a car crash as it unfolds, as it happens, as you're driving down the road. You always get distracted by it. And I think the internet now, even specific right-wing media circles, are now becoming too addicted to it to the point where they're just trying to get those quick dopamine hits, those quick fixes, those quick hits to, I would say, our detriment, leading me to question, is a lot of this kind of organized? Is a lot of this kind of synchronized in a way to lead to the utter debauchery and the destruction of this world? Is humanity doomed because of this? Well, maybe not. As of course, there's a little grain of optimism that I wanted to talk about here. But clearly, when we're watching content, it's not captivating, but it is getting a lot of clicks, a lot of views, and a lot of attention. Sadly, a lot of those people are addicted to getting attention. A lot of people's self-worth, especially as a content creator, is directly linked with their view count. And a lot of these individuals know that if they act out, if they do something crazy, they'll get more attention. Therefore, this is creating what I would call this kind of hijacking psyop by the algorithm that now, also according to the dead internet theory, could be used as a way to motivate people to become crazier, more insane, more destructive, more delusional, more disruptive, to the point of just utter cultural class decay within our society. And I think we kind of have to ask ourselves, how much of this is just organic? How much of this is natural? As again, individuals like Johnny Somali, again, one of the people who was running around North Korea doing some really kind of absurd, weird stuff. And as a live streamer, as someone who live streamed, you're always like, okay, I got to keep talking. I got to keep doing something. I got to keep the audience engaged. Everyone's watching live. What are you going to do? And I think a lot of these people who are addicted to getting those clicks, who are audience hijacked, like I think a lot of people in the right-wing media sphere are just going out and saying, you know what? I'll get people to talk about me. I'll get internet likes. I'll get money. And therefore, we have the creation of this in its ultimate form with what we have with Johnny Somali, who now is facing some very serious charges in South Korea, as he has apologized for his humor that allegedly is different in the United States. Now, in the United States, we have the First Amendment, and you have a right to be wrong and to be annoying. Now, when it comes to kind of being vulgar, when it comes to being classless, that's something that doesn't fly in Asian cultures. That's something that doesn't fly in many places around the world that don't have the First Amendment, that don't have respect for freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of art. And there's a lot of things that are seen as art here that a lot of people see as absolute tasteless, absolutely disgusting. But guess what? This is what makes America as great as it is. If someone wants to be annoying, they have a right to do so. If they want to be disgusting, they have a right to do so, as long as they don't trample on the personal liberties, rights, and safety of other individuals. In Asia, it's different. In Asia, just like in Europe now, Europe is becoming, in a way, very autocratic in the wrong direction. Some would say what these Asian countries are doing to individuals like Johnny Somali and to Vitaly. Vitaly's another person. We'll play some of his clips and we'll get your guys' comments and perspectives on this. But a lot of these countries are saying, you know what? Usually we just deported a lot of these people that we didn't want in our country that were just annoying in our country. But you know what? We're going to make sure that they face charges now. As Vitaly, a streamer known for his shock content in the United States, was just arrested and charged with, quote, unjust vexation, alarm and scandal, and, quote, attempted theft, as we have seen him literally dragged out in front of the cameras. They played some of his clips, and they played videos of him just being kind of a jackass to people. Here's just some of the clips here that really goes to show
excuse me,
the problems of being audience hijacked and addicted to clicks. But most importantly, I think also someone who clearly has a substance abuse problem and has a history of it that probably relapsed here. Let's just be honest with ourselves. There's multiple clips here of him doing kind of wild, off the wall type of stuff here as he was going out of his way. Hey, I want to be arrested. I want to be charged here. And when you're doing that, now we might be actually playing into a larger media strategy that a lot of people have been kind of implementing ever since the Kardashians specifically did their larger adult stunt that got them a lot of attention and got them to where they are now. People are seeing that as a perfect example of what? If I just do wild off-the-wall stuff, hey, I'll be famous too. This is the kind of thing that I believe with that internet here is something that is being engineered here. Before playing the clips, try to stay with sound mind with supplements like creatine. I like creatine. A lot of the studies coming out now are highlighting the huge amounts of cognitive boost it gives people, especially people who are a little bit older, specifically people who are getting older, that want better cognitive function, better memory. Studies are showing creatine is the best way to achieve that. I have it here on my desk. I love taking it. I love going to the gym. I love working out. And a lot of people, specifically with brain trauma, by the way, who have been taking creatine have also shown very promising results compared to the people who don't take creatine. Again, the studies are all coming out. Do your own due diligence. Do your homework before taking any. Do your own homework and blood work before doing anything. Talk to your own medical professional. But this is some of the best stuff on the market. Lots of other stuff is filled with fillers and nonsense and just bullcrap. This is 99.99% pure creatine. And it's some of the best stuff out there on the market. And you get a 2 months supply just for $53. And to me, this is something that I really, really enjoy. I have seen my own personal benefits with it. You might as well. And I think a lot of these people who are audience hijacked and addicted to the internet and just becoming the thing that everyone talks about should be taking some themselves here, as there, again, are just multiple, just weird clips that, again, I think perfectly highlight the Kardashian car crash model of media that we are slowly encroaching to, which is really just idiocracy. Because how else do you explain stuff like this?
Is that okay or no? Okay.
Hulihin mo, kuya. Hulihin mo. Hulihin mo yan. Hulihin mo yan.
The cop's in shock. Like, what?
Oh.
Boss, I want you to chase me. Can I have a hug? You mad at me? Okay. Look at that ass.
Turn it off.
You're gonna turn it off, right?
No.
Are these people following us or no? We'll get arrested.
It might.
Yeah, the clip continues, and he just takes and steals other people's stuff, and then screams in their ear, and then barks behind them, and it's just super freaking annoying. As the Philippines definitely are not playing around. There's also another clip of him looking like he deliberately got into a car accident, a scooter accident, or tuk-tuk accident, as they call them over in Asia. And when you're in different countries, you should respect their cultures. You should try to be nice to the people there, since you're a representation of who you are. As a lot of the Asian people are like, these damn white guys. Not really highlighting the best representation for the online content creator society here, as there was even people trying to sign petitions against this Vitaly guy, as some private businesses talked about how they had to deal with him in a very not so nice way. And in come the Philippine police that just arrested him and released this video footage of him being processed as they put him in handcuffs and have decided to announce that they will be pressing criminal charges against him and will not just be deporting him. Yep, so you heard that correctly, as of course they played some of his clips. Vitaly actually applauded himself after some of the clips were played during this press conference here, as he was paraded around by these police officers who are now going to be making an example out of him. Now, foreign jails aren't fun. I've been in some of them myself here. I saw some of the conditions in foreign jails, and it's definitely not a fun experience, specifically when you look at the Philippines. A country that doesn't play around with their law and order, as their previous president that also is being jailed and facing criminal charges, by the way. Interesting how all these kind of like populist figures are all going to jail here, all around the world, all at the same time, almost as if it's a coordinated thing. These are some of the conditions in the Philippine jail, where your food is dependent on people who bring it to you from the outside. And they have very cramped conditions. They don't have the luxury of American jails or European jails. And truly, the conditions there are something that are just horrific, as this is their deterrent against crime. Now it's going to be their deterrent against nuance streamers. Will this work, or will this actually backfire and create the Streisand effect here? That's going to be interesting to kind of see here, to see how all of this plays out here, as a lot of people are saying, F around and find out. Other people are saying, hey, this Vitaly guy is actually a good guy. This is what Myron Gaines says, saying, whoa, WTF, Vitaly is a good guy. It bothers me to see this happen to him after he made such a huge change for the better in his life. Vitaly also previously took huge amounts of psychedelics and then beat up a woman in the streets. Quote, he stopped drinking. Drugs, was catching really bad predators out there and was growing fast on kick. Yeah, some of the stuff he was doing with the predator stuff, some would say very theatrical, but I would say he was doing a better job than the FBI was. Some people would say that he was doing a better job than the FBI is doing now. He says, then he was creating problems in the Philippines by being a nuance streamer like Johnny Somalia. I don't know whose idea that was at Kick. I don't think it was anyone's ideas. I think it was probably his idea. This was just an awful move and put one of their top streamers in serious trouble. This press conference proves it's obvious the Philippines is going to try to make an example out of Vitaly. I hope Vitaly gets out and makes a U-turn in his content. He is talented and does not need to make problematic content like this to get views. Yeah, I agree. Once you start doing that, there's going to be significant kind of legal ramifications, but also karmic ramifications. And let's be honest here, let's try to look at this from a clear perspective here, because when he was doing his kind of nuance stream, and again, he knew what he was doing. He gets all the attention. He gets everyone to talk about them. This guy usually streaks throughout stadiums. He also tried to do some good. He was seen also volunteering, giving away money, and trying to help out some of the poor people in the Philippines, giving out phones here. And the Philippines, by the way, has some of the worst poverty in the world here. I did my own kind of venture into Manila, and holy cow. I mean, I've been all over the world. I've been in Africa. I've been in Somalia. I've been to India. Philippines the Manila is one of the most poorest places on earth here. The stuff that I've seen there, specifically the horrible situations that children are inundated with, is just absolutely tragic. It's absolutely awful. It's absolutely horrendous. There's a lot of really bad people inside of the Philippines doing some really bad, awful things. I started to volunteer. I made a video about this. I tried to raise some funds through my videos when I was in the Philippines. And it looks like Vitaly originally tried to do this too, and then said, you know what? I'm just going to get as much attention as I can. There's also a guy who saw Vitaly live streaming and decided to kind of call him out on just being a very annoying, bad person. You called him a bunch of names, and a lot of people are saying, yeah, this guy's pretty much right on the money. He kind of called him out right before the arrest here, saying, hey, stop harassing the people of the Philippines here. It's not really a good look here to cause them distress for clicks and views here. And I think that's always has been kind of the struggle of the internet, and it's an issue of the people who click on it. Let's just be real with ourselves, because if the people weren't clicking, if the people weren't watching, if the people weren't engaging, this stuff wouldn't be as big. People would be like, yeah, this is just dumb. This is really stupid. The man who confronted him now started his own channel and is talking about how great the Philippines is. Now, again, the Philippines, the Filipino people are great here, but the Philippine country is dealing with a lot of very significant issues. Again, there's people like literally living in graves there. And I was there. I saw it all. It was shocking. I am so blessed. I am so lucky to be here in the United States. You're so lucky if you're in the Western world to be here in the United States. I'll just leave it at that here. But what's going to be happening here, I think, with Johnny Somali and this Vitaly guy, because I know there's people who are like, oh, I got to do this too now. I want to get everyone talking about me. But I think the buck should stop at the consumer, and I think we should stop looking at that car accident, even though it's very difficult to look at. As of course, now I feel partly responsible as I'm looking at this car accident myself here and talking about it and giving it more attention. Is this something that is good, or should we call it out? What do you think is the right kind of approach here to deal with this entire situation, as I believe it is leading towards the idiocracy of our society and the absolute degrading cultural nuance, annoying society that somehow rewards the most type of weird, nasty behavior. Now, is this something that should be a top priority? No, I think there's other issues. I think, poverty and the hurting of children in the Philippines, that should be a major priority. 100%, 110%. Someone who's annoying, all right, whatever, kick them out, deport them. Making an example out of him, will that actually teach him his lesson? No. He's going to have a crazy story now that he's probably going to become more infamous about and probably more famous about. Is there any other way to deal with this problem? I don't know. I want to leave the question to you because I think that is where the conversation should start. Again, get some creatine, get your mind right. Stop paying attention to those car accidents. Do you think I'm wrong? Let me know. I think this definitely deserves a bigger conversation. If you agree, share this video. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.